I feel like I really didn't have a choice when it came to putting myself out there, being in recovery in the beginning. Not many people go to treatment and then have to do a media tour about their treatment stay a day after.
From a small town in Kentucky to a glamorous lifestyle in New York City, Miss USA 2006, Tara Conner began living out her dream come true. But with her success came excessive partying and addiction to alcohol.
My journey to recovery basically started while I was Miss USA, and I tested positive for cocaine during my reign. When you win Miss USA, you move to New York for the year, and I don't know what a cross street is. I had never had Starbucks before. Donald Trump is my boss. I was drug tested one day, and then the next morning I was driving into the city and I turned on the radio and they're like, Miss USA fails a drug test for cocaine. Will she lose her title? Blah, 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 blah. And by that night it was on SportsCenter. Of all things, it was on SportsCenter. I thoroughly expected to lose the title, and I take up that elevator ride to Trump's office, and he sits me down and he's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I was like, well, sir, I think it would say far more about the organization and far more about your character if you gave me the opportunity to turn this around. And he was like, you're right. We go down to the press conference, and I remember walking in like just kind of covering my face, and I felt like a witch at the Salem witch trials that they were going to hang up.
I've just met for a pretty long period of time with Tara, and to be honest, I expected fairly routinely that we would be terminating Tara as Miss USA. Tara is going to be given a second chance.
I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life. I'm gonna have to work on this for the rest of my life. I'm not saying like, please feel for me, but at the same time, it's just like, don't judge me. You know, like, do you know that this is an epidemic?
To have achieved everything you sought out to achieve.
Right.
Do you know why you blew it?
You know, the thing is because of these stigmas that are attached, I've had people ask me every day, do you think you tarnished the crown? Well, you know, maybe I did. But the bad thing about that is if everyone thinks of alcoholism and addiction or the disease in general as a negative thing, no one's going to want to go get help.
Yeah.
No one wants that stigma attached to them. I'm an alcoholic or I'm an addict.
I had a therapist, she told me, she was like, I didn't think that you were going to make it. And not because I thought that you were unfixable or anything like that. She was like, but you were basically sent out to the vultures, you know, and you had to put yourself out there, and not many people could have handled that. I did a program for A&E. It was called Fame and Recovery. And they shot my story for 2 full days. They had so much footage of my story. And then when I watched it, I was just so disgusted. I was seeing like this pitiful little mess. Like, I think the last shot of me, they have me like putting my hands over my face and like crying my eyes out. I'm like, wow. They didn't show anything about sobriety. I was like, I'm never talking about my story again. I felt like a walking stigma because they only focused on the stigma part. They didn't focus on like the good part, because there's so much good that comes with recovery. If there is a media outlet out there that treated it as a health issue, I didn't see it, because the only ones that I saw were like, she's a disgrace. And they still call me that, disgrace to Miss USA. 5 years later, 5 years sober later.